3, 2, 1. Hey, and we're live. This is us live. Hi, it's me. How are you? Good to see you. Welcome everybody who's watching this later, because the first like 3 minutes of any live stream, before people get the notifications
Yeah.
and start joining in, is the part they never see. So you kind of, it's a slow roll, this live streaming. Guy Norman V is here with me. I want to, um, you and I have been this is where Twitter actually served a human purpose. You and I met, I think, digitally first. Did we not? Because I think we hung first.
Yeah,
Did we? I mean, was it the
I
DGA
think,
thing?
yeah, I think I may be wrong. It was, some kind of DGA, director's dinner, and I knew you had two people from two separate different shows that we had in common.
Right.
Scott Lowell from F
That's
and
right.
Angel Parker from Lab Rats.
Right. So
So,
you had worked with both of them as a director, and I had acted and directed. I mean, I directed Angel on Lab Rats. So and it was just kind of like a short glad hand, and then I discovered you on Twitter, and I was like, oh, we're true brothers. This goes beyond even like, oh,
yeah,
nice. It's nice to know, because networking has made such a big thing in Hollywood, which is like a network to me has always come across as sort of uh, a replacement for friendship for the incapable.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
but I just like when I met you, I was like, this is a genuinely good person. And which is a rare feeling in Hollywood sometimes. You know what I mean? Because you're like, yeah, they seem cool is probably the top compliment
Yeah.
in that regard. And then for the who's at home, sit up a little so they can see your shirt, and then they'll understand the bond. Yeah, exactly.
Lifelong Kiss fan.
Yes, absolutely. So I almost wore my Kiss Destroyer hoodie, which is hanging in the closet for this. But I want to show you. Oh, he walked out on me. No, that's right. Okay.
So,
Oh, nice. Is that Ace signed it?
Ace
Sweet.
Frehley's on, and yeah, check this out. This is he handed this to me at some point. I can't remember when, but yeah, a friend of mine was shooting a like a you can't really read it, a
Yeah,
farewell tour, or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was shooting a like an instructional video where Ace shows you how to play cold gin and
Right.
shock me.
I have
He
that
goes, "Hey,
video, I'm certain.
yeah," and it's kind of like
Does the tab across the bottom?
off the bottom, like karaoke or
Yeah.
rock or whatever.
Oh, I know
So
it
he goes,
well. I know it well.
"Hey,
You can hear pieces of the solo he teaches on there on my first record because I learned those riffs that way. Yeah.
oh, it's funny." Yes. So my friend calls me and goes, "I'm shooting this thing, and I could really use another camera operator. It's not very good money, I can't pay well, but
Right.
we need some days." And I said, "I'll do it." It was a Saturday, Sunday. I said, "I'll do it." So I in some rehearsal hall in North Hollywood, I came down and we just started shooting, and I wasn't super starstruck at first, but then we would do we changed like camera setups or lighting setups,
Right.
and I had like one of these HD cameras. So I just go plop down right next to him while he just noodled. And I'd say, and out of nowhere, I just start going, well, he's either gonna get mad at me or dig it. And I said, yeah, Ace, I always like Love Her All I Can. That was always one of my favorite songs. He goes, oh man, I haven't played that in years. I can't remember any of it. And like 10 seconds later, he'd play the song note for note,
Right.
all the cool intro. It's always one of my favorite songs from the early days.
Totally.
And I realized he digs this. And so I said to his manager at the end of day one, I said, hey, I'd love to get a guitar signed by Ace. And he goes, oh no, he won't do it, man. No, because people buy him. He goes, you want to bring an album or something, that's cool, but he won't sign a guitar. So the next day we had like a noon call. So I drove past a Sam Ash or a Guitar Center, and I bought that Epiphone Les Paul, like
Yeah.
$299 or something. It wasn't
Yeah.
one of the more expensive ones. And I thought I'll just keep it in my car, and when I leave, I'll bring it in, and I'll bypass the manager. And I went up to Ace, and I had a silver Sharp. Yeah, man, give it here. Let me see. He did the whole, and I realized that I looked up at the manager, and it was all BS. The manager was just protecting him, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
So yeah,
they sell those autographs, especially on guitars, at like the shops here in Vegas, and they're shit guitars. That's always the thing that's bothered me. If you buy like a U2 signed guitar. The whole band has signed it, and it's this. Well, an Epiphone's solid. That's that's Gibson and Epiphone, two solid lines. But there'll be like a Fernando Azuelo Fender knockoff. You know what I mean? Like you look at the
Yeah.
stock and you're like, what the hell is that? And they just bought
Let's get
100 of them, and
right.
people are buying these things for thousands of dollars. And I'm like, just buy a medium level Gibson. Just buy
Yeah.
a Les Paul Studio. They're $500. Have the
Yeah.
band sign that, or whoever, like, because if you get a Steve Vai autographed Fernando Vazuelo, I know, dude, that's perfect. It's
Yeah. It's
got a nice
the
sunburst. It's
exact classic one. I would love to have a 3 pickup one, but I couldn't. Obviously couldn't get one at the
well,
last
those
minute.
get routed out. I'll on another stream. I'll bring in my '69 custom 3 pickup Les Paul natural wood, because the tuners are the story. That's all I'm saying, people. I'm not telling you anything else. I'm just saying the tuners are the story. So, in honor of Guy being here and the fact that he's a director, uh, and there's a bunch of people who are gonna like fanboy and fangirl right now, not even knowing it, because you've not only directed a bunch of Criminal Minds and a lot of episodic kind of detective-y shows, but like Supernatural, what?
Other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so many where there are deep fan clubs, where
Oh
they're
yeah.
like, "Oh shit, that dude directed 3 of my favorite episodes." That happens a lot. And I remember, like, my girlfriend and I started watching Criminal Minds kind of all the way through as a run. And I don't know, I mean, we just had never talked about it, probably, that you had directed a few of those. And then there are ones that they come up and I'm like, I was like, "Oh, I really like this one. I was like, watch that one again." And then your name would pop up as the director, and I'm like, "See, see, see, good people, talent, wonderfulness." And it would literally just brings like it makes me happy to
Good.
when I see that happen. So, okay, so in terms of incorporating our love of Kiss and television shows, there's a reason why this was one of my
Yeah.
favorite television shows of all time. And as a kid, so I don't know if you know this, but I didn't have a TV till I was 15. So I only watched television. When I moved to Chicago, we had a television at home, but before that, we didn't have one.
And you couldn't go on YouTube and watch stuff
No,
back.
that didn't exist. That was a world that was invisible and impossible. But we would watch at my grandmother's house, and then some nights we could walk to my neighbor's house, which is about a mile away, and watch at his house because he had a TV. And
Yeah.
the pilot for WKRP is the first show where I was aware I was seeing the first episode of a show, like a new show debuting this fall, and it was like about a rock and roll radio station, and I was like, I want to see that. So we go over, and not knowing what's going on, Andy Travis. I'm mixing up the musician and the new program director comes into this talk radio network, which nobody listens to anymore, and is failing. And they've hired him to come in there and fix the station. And the first thing he does is walk in there and unroll a Kiss poster behind his desk. And if you'll recall, it's the bicentennial one. Remember that, where everybody they had bandages and they were playing like, yeah, the Revolutionary Band. Yeah, exactly. It
Yep.
was so good. And I had that poster. I had the small version of it cut out of a magazine on my wall. And I was like, this is my new favorite show. I have a new favorite television show. That's how this works. So anyway, so that's the tie-in. Yeah. So you and I also artistically we enjoy much of the same kind of things, clearly, but we've also been dealing with this. By the way, we're getting there's a bunch of chat going on as well. We're getting Mark Shatrowski, and it's is saying giving a thumbs up to Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, and yeah,
Mountain.
and Kathy B is saying total fangirl of Guy Norman B. There you go. um, and let's see, what do you like?
Yeah, I can't see that stuff. That's
You
only
can't.
on your screen.
Oh, okay. You don't see it. Okay. Well, I'll read it out loud to you when
Oh,
it pops up. But it should be on there. But this, the sort of political mix of what's been going on. You and I have been watching this. I don't know if you've seen what I've been doing every day, going over this ridiculous presser that's going on. But I I mean, where do we even start? You and I have been kind of like that's politically we're very in line. I wouldn't say that we qualify as crazy lefties. We're just smart, reasonable, decent human beings who want everybody to have the best shot in life, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I have a very strong bullshit detector,
Yeah.
and I don't like liars. I don't like people that bully, and I don't like people that gaslight. And he's all those things wrapped into one, and I've seen it for years. I mean, I've known about. I mean, when I did a show called Third Watch, my
Yeah.
first directing thing,
Right.
1990, 2002.
Mhm.
I lived in New York City. I was really kind of not shocked, but I was kind of like surprised that most New Yorkers, real New Yorkers, can't stand the guy.
No.
He's got he's known locally where his hometown effectively as somebody that rips off contractors and has done been shady. I mean, I heard about Russian money laundering way back then.
Yeah.
This is 20 years ago. Anyway,
Yeah,
uh,
it that's always been funny to me is, the because this is a guy who has 0 friends and no real relationships, and it reeks of it, you can tell. And as a director
yeah,
and as an actor, I think we both kind of view people in a certain way, like, I can sniff somebody selling a bill of goods. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? It sets the hair on the back of your neck up or something. It's just this you have this reaction to it. You're like, yeah, no. I can see the page. I can see the
yeah, the
page in what you're doing right now.
fake hyperbole and too many adjectives that describe it as the greatest thing, and
Right.
it's
Fantastic.
and people fall for it. I mean, I'm gullible and ignorant and low IQ. People fall for that head shoulders because head over heels, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, because it offers them a chance to believe that it could be real, without any facts,
Well,
any
it's
basis.
how a lot of televangelists have operated over the years,
Yeah,
and this doesn't deride any true believers or genuine preachers or whatever, but the ones that are on TV specifically, the ones that have been successful on TV, are very distinct in their behavior shape. You know what I mean? Like you can tell when they're this is them acting. This is my moment. I'm ready for my close up, and you can tell that they're just this is a sales pitch. God is a vacuum cleaner as far as they're concerned, and they
yeah,
managed
yeah.
to get in. And he has that same appeal. And a lot of people go like, I don't know why the evangelicals and the Christians all support him. I'm like, well, he reads is exactly the same the road preacher. When the road
Right.
preacher would come into your church and he would go, "Oh, I used to be with the wine and the women and tell stories of the demon cocaine would take over me and I was in a fist fight in Tulsa, Oklahoma." Like they tell those big stories which are prurient and titillating. So you're sitting there like, he had sex with how many women? Oh my lord! This is wonderful. And then at the end, I found Jesus. I'm all cleaned up, so you can have your cake and eat it too. Just throw your money in the hat. And I like that's what he reeks of to me.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
I kind of grew up, a fan of George Carlin,
Yep.
and
Greatest
I mean,
bullshit story ever told. Right?
no,
Yeah.
just his whole basically just he's a very one of the most intelligent guys on the planet in
Yeah.
his day. No, I mean, I always say I have no prejudices or any biases against any ethnicity, religion, any of that stuff, but I can't stand stupid people because you can fix that. And you choose. My
Yes.
mom used to bumper sticker. My mom used to say was her
Mhm.
favorite, which was, "It's too bad incompetence isn't painful," because
Right.
that's ignorance is bliss. It's like if I don't want to know about it, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't affect my life. I go to the same Wendy's for my cheeseburger every 3 o'clock every day. I mean, I'm in a routine, and to think and to use your brain and to expand your horizons requires work and effort. And there's a certain cross section,
Right.
35% of our population, and that's fine. But you can't
Well, 25%, because
don't
20% are mentally
well
ill, so I think they overlap. Um, most of the United States, you know what
yeah,
I
but
mean?
they
That's
focus.
like genuinely, there are people who can't help it, and then there's 25% who absolutely could, but just they dig in. You know, they do these tests on, you know, psychological tests on stuff, which is, you know, the more you certain people react to you trying to give them advice by digging in the other way. So like vegans and vegetarians have ultimately created more deep-seated meat eaters than almost anybody in the world, the hardliners, because there's a large group of people who react to what they're saying. You know, if you carry you know, you go, you have to stop this or whatever, their response is always going to be, oh yeah, I think I'm going to have a steak right now. And
Yeah.
there's a huge chunk of those people that I think are, you know, I see a few of them in the Bernie crowd, certainly. I
Yeah.
definitely see a ton of them in the Trump crowd. And it's this, you know, almost like, you're not my real dad, you can't tell me what to do, kind of step parent,
Yeah.
stepchild relationship.
Yeah, it's cognitive dissonance, which is, like a fancy way of saying even when presented with the facts,
Yes.
irrefutable facts, you will, before you'll admit that, okay, maybe I was wrong,
Right.
take it, you will go exactly 180. And then they talk about, well, these elites and these Washington insiders, we got to burn the whole system down. Well,
Mhm.
that's not good. Is to
No, that's not how civilized society works. It's never how it will work. Like, even like, you know, and I've never been a fan of the frame like of revolution. And it might be because I have such a stinging response from Operation Mindcrime, the Queensryche record, Revolution Calling, you know, is the sales pitch they use in the storyline of the album, and the, you know, to get this guy into this underground organization and control him with heroin and all this other stuff to force him to carry out these political assassinations. But what they feed him is a line about, look at all the wrong things in the world, and now we can, you know, it's time for a revolution, and we're the people who will do it, and we've got to remove certain people to, you know, it's a violent uprising word, and it sticks with that. And I just feel like it's just impractical to the we need a new word that has the same vigor but isn't that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause I
No, I
don't think
mean,
it applies.
we know that political action committees and lobbyists and big moneyed the pharma and
Yeah.
oil and all that buy and pay for politicians to vote their way,
Right.
but it's so blatant on one side of the aisle than
Mhm.
it is on the other.
Yeah.
Like one side of the aisle works for corporations and billionaires, and will tell you as much. They're people. Billionaires are people.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the other side of
Corporations are
the aisle,
people, my friend. Right.
exactly. They'll actually work for their constituents and the people that voted them in, and I tend to lean with those people than I do over putting in pipelines through people's
Their
properties that have
waterways.
been there hundreds
Yeah.
of years
Right.
because we need oil so that
Right. Which we don't, not because it couldn't be cheaper right
the
now,
Koch
and
brothers and all
yeah.
what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and I tend to side.
now what here's the here, you know, EO in our chat is saying, and people just vote Republican, quote, because I don't want no political correctness. And there is a truth to the a group of voters, and it's not a tremendous amount. It's like a 10-20% amount of humans in the country who that was the reason why they maybe they were Obama voters, then they went to being Trump voters. Maybe they weren't voters and they were for voters because they were seeing this kind of hypersensitivity thing as genuinely dangerous or as simply inconvenient to normal life, and
Yeah,
and decided to take a chance on him. I personally think that those people are the regret voters that you're seeing a bunch of, and won't, you know, aren't going to vote for him again. No way. But they were
yeah,
there for
all
that
the,
reason.
yeah, and all the evidence was there. And I mean, like in my little tiny, microcosm, little way, I tried to warn people.
Yes.
This guy, the Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City. Um, I mean, there was a bunch of stuff, and I did think that Entertainment Tonight Billy Bush thing would kind of show people a little insight as to who he really is,
Right.
and also the Stormy Daniels stuff. I mean, it shows you who he really is, and evidently people don't really care about his morality and all that. I do. I think it's disgusting because the evangelicals will side with him in
Right.
spite of that, and that to me is it couldn't be more hypocritical.
Right. Well, that's the irony
Also,
though.
this is a I
Yeah.
don't know if you've ever seen this.
Whoa.
That's my financial advisor when I was doing Steadicam in 1991. And by the way, at Palm Springs, 1991, I was doing Steadicam,
Right.
and the reason I came by our set is we had just, I mean, I didn't, but our show, the thing I was doing, hired a young actress, 27-year-old actress named Marla Maples,
Oh wow. Right.
and Fox flew in to check in on his gubad, which while his wife Ivana and his three kids in New York were unbeknownst. So he was in Palm Springs, California. That's probably September, October of '91,
Right.
visiting his girlfriend while his wife and three kids were back in New York City. So don't ever tell me what a great guy he is,
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
I have evidence that he
Right.
that's me in the hip Russian beret.
The
He's
irony.
yeah.
That's probably why he came over. Like, I like this guy. I recognize his hat wear. Right. Fantastic. Yeah, yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah. Or maybe not, or maybe it will work, or maybe it won't. Or maybe it's bigger, smaller, top, or bottom, or left or right. Um,
It's maybe good. I don't know.
so, and he did that yet another time, by the way. And then, did you see that picture of him, the Sudafed picture, which everybody talks about, because he's got boxes of the Sudafed that he crushes up and snorts allegedly, that he has to get
Right,
from
right.
England because that's the version that has um, the stuff that gets you high. They took it out of the version in America or made it prescription only, but you can buy it over the counter in Europe.
Right.
So those are the green boxes. The blue boxes are legit. He's got the green boxes, and on that same thing where he's looking at the camera, there's a bunch of magazines on his desk, and you can see a picture of Marla Maples in a bikini, like he was reminiscing, like
Yeah.
he's going back over looking at it again. And
It,
it's like, what? Well, I mean, you must live in such an impossible bubble. Yeah, Lori Ski in the chat room says Tom Arnold said Adderall. That too. Let's
yeah.
understand. He does all of that stuff. He's a
Yeah.
speed freak. That's what that is, and that's what the sniffing and the kind of hyper energetic. The problem is, I think he's got burnout right now. He's getting
Oh
adrenal
shit, you're
burnout
locked up.
because he's using it. Huh? Oh, did I lock up? You seem good. You all right? You seemed fine.
Locked up.
Oh, boo, Zoom. Because I can see you. Yeah,
Oh
well,
wait,
yeah.
you're coming back. Hold on.
Yep. It's probably just an internet flub. It happens. Um, so let's transition out of that part or whatever and tell a couple of cool directing stories for the bottom half of the half hour. I might need to reconnect with you or something like that. Video and then come back. Let's see. Um, Hello. Um, uh, yep, it froze. Let me call you right. Let me try you right back. Of course, right when we get him, and then of course, he just froze. Uh, all right, hold on. Oh, he's coming. There he is. Hey, he's back. Look at
Ah,
that. Look at that. It's there's a lot
cool.
of internet lag just because everyone is on it all the time right now. But you
Yeah.
look good and you're back, and it's all
I'm
good.
just kind of stuck behind the booth.
Cool. And I'll go over here and move you over, and I'll set you up, and you just stay wherever you're
Yeah, it's kind
comfortable.
of
It's okay. There's a lag. There's a lag. That's the nature of it. So I was saying, let's the bottom half of this half hour. Let's talk about directing stories. I'm I'm always fascinated because you started out as a cameraman and then you went to directing. You do a lot of episodic stuff. Um, uh, how about because you do a lot of like you don't I mean you can do anything, but let's just be clear. If I'm your agent for a moment, but you these like action and detective dramas and that kind of stuff. You're good at building suspense. Clearly. is there something like give me one that like a show that stood out where you're like, it went, it could have gone south, but it went great, or this stunt went crazy. One of those kind of things, because
Oh man,
yeah,
yeah, I'm a big true crime fan. So
yeah,
like, the stuff that I've done that's procedural. I mean, I started out on Third Watch, which was cops, firemen, paramedics. I don't know if we locked up again. Did we lock
mhm.
up?
No, I think you're well. It did for a
Oh
second.
no,
You're fine.
doing it again.
Rose again, but I can still hear you. That might be an internet thing. And it was good. It was getting so good. He'll pop back on in a second. It's all right. We'll fix this in a second. Luckily, yeah, we'll work on it. It happens. Um, what are you referring to, Moto, in the chat? By the way, MCS. Yeah, the sound was good for a second, and then it ditched out too. But we'll work on it. He's coming back. There he goes. It's just a camera reset thing. Yep, all good. Okay, so pick up
Um,
right away. Bit where you were. Yeah.
I'm just saying that yeah, I'm a big true crime fan, and I love all that stuff. I mean, I just started season 2 of Ozark after having loved season 1,
Hmm.
and because I know season 3 is out now, so I'm teeing up to watch that.
Sure.
I love that kind of dark, like it just you're stuck. That classic, good guy trying to get out from underneath a bad thing, and how am I
Yeah.
going to? So I've done a bit of that, but yeah. So law enforcement stuff. Southland was a high point.
Mhm.
Southland was one of those shows that I just loved the whole
Mhm.
philosophy and attitude of the show, which was um, documentary style, but not a documentary.
Right.
Um, Dark, but hope.
Yep.
There was some hope in there too. And
Sure.
oh man, it's doing it again. I think.
That's all right. It's a loop thing. It's all right. It happens. And maybe see on my side. Let's see. I'll go to gallery view and then back to speaker view and then see if that helps a little bit. Yeah, the camera dropped out for a second, but we'll try it. It's all right. Hey, man, we're flying by the seat of our pants here. It's cool. He'll be back in a second. Um, yeah, there he goes. He pops back on.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
you're
just
right.
interesting. So, but in terms of stuff that you've directed, um, style wise, like and just like one of those shows where um it was just you had to eat an elephant bite by bite kind of thing. An example,
Look,
one of those shows.
the first episode I did of Criminal Minds, it was a new show. I was booked to do episode 7. My agent called me and said, "Hey, the director of episode 5 showed up, and they smelled. He reeked, and he had like a contusion on his eye when he showed up for the prep, and they let him go today.
Wow.
Can you? Are you?" I told them you were available. Are you into coming and doing episode 5? You have to start at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. I was like, yeah, absolutely. And that was a lot of my friends, the writing team I just done Third Watch with, so I was
Right.
very familiar with them, and they were they're happy to have in there. So I got there. The script was a bit of a mess. Obviously they sent me a PDF of the script that night, and I devoured it and got in the van the next morning at 9 a.m. Start scouting locations. Um, and the script was kind of a mess. And just through meetings and talking about it and throwing out ideas, we kind of got the script in good shape. We have 7 days to prep before you start shooting.
Wow. Yeah. Is there um and without naming names, I've been through this experience before. Um Difficult actors that don't end up, and you might be frozen or you might just be really intense. Um but I think it's frozen then. We'll get when he pops back on, we'll do that. Hold on. Go to gallery view and then back to speaker view, and then when he pops back up, we don't have to have a staring picture of it. Um yeah, EO did not get pizza. Oh, thanks, Moto. I appreciate that. That's fine though. I don't think anybody will. I trust my patrons. Um, and I can always block somebody. And he's coming back. I could feel it. Here he comes. It was there for a second. Yep. Oh, there he is. Yep. See, it worked. So, it's all right. You're in LA, man. Like that's a heavy lifting part of the internet right now. Um, what I was saying, I don't know if you could hear me, but difficult actors. I know what I do to deal with them when I'm acting with them, what work I have to do. But if you're having trouble getting a performance out of somebody that's just dry, you know what I mean? Where
Well, one of the tricks I learned early on, I mean, as a camera operator on ER, was something that George Clooney did, which is he did it, and then I started thinking about it, and talked to him more about it, and what you realize is if when we're covering a scene, the camera is over one actor's shoulder,
mhm,
and that whatever actor's shoulder you're over gives what we call the off-camera dialogue, and you can't see their lips. You can't. I mean, we
right,
record this obviously, but it does kind of doesn't matter what they say. So if you're getting kind of a flat performance from your on-camera actor, you can tell the off-camera actor, hey, spice it up a little bit. I mean, it's TV, but that part where you say, hey, look at me, you say, hey, motherfucker, look at me. You think we're fucking around here, and then give him the cue line, and
right,
suddenly you get a performance that on-camera actor was not expecting to come.
right,
Suddenly
right.
it's like
Yeah, you'll get that
how it would
reaction entry, the reaction entry into the line where it becomes honest because you're hearing something for the first
happen.
time, right?
Because what happens is you get into this cue, okay, cue line, my line, I deliver my line, ooh, I got through it, okay, now they're going to talk to me for a while, and now so once you get into that thing, it kind of gets flat, it gets
Yeah,
pounded flat. You do. So you start out with a big master just to get the lines down, and kind of you rehearse on film, but
yep,
once you get into those ups and you really need performance, that was a quick and easy way to do that. You can't do it a lot because then people are waiting to hear it. It's like the
that's
boy
right.
cried wolf.
Well, if you
That's always a good one. And also,
hold on, yep, you're back, you're fine.
no, I mean the other quick and easy one that I like is I'll take one, like if we have a group of like 4 or 5 actors, I'll take one of them off to the side, so every the other 4 actors can see that I'm doing that, and I'll just whisper to them, "Don't change a thing. It's great. Keep doing it. Don't worry about it. Keep doing it." Or I'll say something like, "Don't make on this take. Don't make eye contact with anybody. Don't look at anybody. Whoever you're
Yeah,
talking to, don't look at them." And what happens is when they go back into the group, and as they're walking away, I'll say, "You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?"
yeah,
And the other 4 actors are like, "Oh, what did he just say to her that he
yeah.
didn't say?" Now everyone's really paying attention in a different way than they did in the previous take.
Right, and if you're not making eye contact with them, they're gonna take it personally in some ways. Like,
Yeah,
as an actor, you're like, "Why is she not looking at me right now? Why is it," and it'll bring you into your skin a little
yeah,
bit.
and it's after the take's over, we're moving on to another scene. I've had actors go, "What did you say to her?" And I say, "I just told her to keep doing what she's doing. She was doing great. She was nervous because she's the day player and she's standing there with Joe Mantegna and Thomas
Right.
Gibson, and
Yeah.
it's a big deal for you guys. It's not that big. It's Tuesday.
Yeah,
For her, this is some stuff for her real, and
totally.
she,
I've been
first,
there. When
yeah,
I'd already been on a series for a while, and I was on that when I did my Frasier episode, and the first like, we rehearsed it, and Kelsey Grammer didn't come out for rehearsal at all. So I was doing it with his stand-in for a while, and then the first time he walks out, it's on camera, and he walks out, and I went up halfway through my line because I was like, it was weird because I'd been talking to somebody else. It was almost like the wrong actor walked in, and so I went in that, and so he walks in, and I start my line like, "Hello, welcome to your mother's ass," and we
yeah.
had this. I'm like, "Go back, start again," and I acted like it was a prop problem, but it had everything to do with the fact that I was just like, "Oh shit, there he is." This is not a dude I've stood. That was also the time where David fell off a gurney and smashed his head on the concrete, and I did intervention CP, like our intervention EMT stuff on him till the ambulance got there and knocked him unconscious. I had to keep him awake in my arms. Um,
Whoa.
it was a super weird thing. I don't know if I've ever talked about that episode of Frasier, but during the scene where Niles is on the gurney, he sat up on it and it wasn't secured, and he fell over, and his head sounded like a bowling ball hitting the floor. It was like a
Oh,
hard knock, and I was like, my mom's a nurse, and I was like, that was not good. And everybody was oddly, which happens in an emergency, everybody was standing way back. And I was like, no, 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 no. Like, he didn't have a spinal on this. This is his head. We got to keep him awake.
yeah, yeah.
And so I just rushed in. I'm like, he's got a concussion. He's got to stay talking and all this stuff. And I was like asking him his name and holding him up. It was like the end of a movie scene. He's like laying in my lap, and I'm having him count numbers and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, we need ice, and we need a paramedic, and we need him taken away now, you know.
Yeah.
And they took it 2 days off, and he was back in Monday, but he had clearly had a concussion. They took the whole weekend off. No more rehearsals, anything. It was crazy. But my trick with as an actor, whenever I get a flat performance, is I front load certain words that I know they're gonna say with meaning for myself that goes beyond anything they could imagine. So it's they become trigger words based on, like, if a stranger, say you had a character walks in and go, "Oh, look, whose hat is that?" And it turns out it's your father's hat, and it breaks your heart to think about it. If a stranger did that in a scene, that's what you would do. You would go, "That's the point. This guy can't know. He's not going to give me anything because he's not supposed to. It's not in his character point." So I would do that with the other actors. I would pick one word that gave me kind of like a B level or a C level emotion. Then the next word give me a B level emotion, and then the A word would be the horrifying or the sorrow to trigger into something. And so all, like, I remember very distinctly the word home. I used that a bunch with people, in Queer as Folk to trigger
Yeah.
tears and stuff. Yeah, because that was what
Yeah.
worked. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, a lot of times with the day player, the series regulars, you got to realize that they're wondering if they're going to get done by 3 o'clock because they got an appointment to do this, or they got a tea time, or
Light
in
to
the case,
catch, right?
yeah, to catch, yeah, truly, literally.
Yeah.
So, so sometimes it's not quite there, and so you got to think of things to do for them. And then the other one is a lot of times actors that are partners will rehearse and run the lines while they're sitting next to each other in the makeup trailer.
Yeah.
Come to a decision by as a team. Oh, it'd be cool. Let
Right.
me say it off. And a lot of times that works great. Like I'll say, I love what you guys are doing. They'll go, yeah, yeah, we thought you might dig that. Hopefully it's a show that I know them and they know me and they know my sensibilities.
Right.
I don't think it works because it's just too casual. You talk about the death of the guy you met the night before, so cutting him off, I don't think this is a time for any kind of comic relief. And generally, well trained actors are like, okay, yeah, we just tried that. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of times they'll direct themselves into a bad place.
Yep.
Um, and it's tough as a director, especially coming in as a day player. You don't want to come off as Mr. Naysayer.
Right.
I'm going to direct everything. You want to be collaborative, and that's one of my favorite parts of the job is that you are truly coming in as a team, and you want to just seamless. I always say it's like running alongside of a boxcar,
Yeah.
jumping on 8 days, and at the end of it, jumping out at your stop, and
Yeah.
hopefully, wow, that worked great, fit right in.
Yeah.
But a lot
We
of
all
times,
had hobo stew, and the train didn't go off the tracks. Right.
right. And so that's kind of the job, and you hopefully that they'll go, wow, that he did he did an episode of our show, didn't do long hours, everybody was happy, let's get him back. I mean, it's job security. You want to be invited back. That's the only
Sure.
trick.
The
Um,
what you obviously have, because you have a lot of return business in shows. You do it, you tend to, if the show continues, you continue a lot of times with those things. Here's my question though. So let's say you're doing Criminal Minds, or something like that, or Third Watch especially. You're operating with practical sets largely. I mean, there's some interior offices that they've got set up, I'm sure, but practical locations, that kind of stuff, practical
yeah,
props, not a lot of effects stuff going on. And then you do something like Supernatural or those kind of shows, and it has always been my feeling as an actor that that's the highest form of acting, because you're acting with nothing. You are a
tennis ball.
yeah, tennis ball on a string, right? Is the old, it's why Goldblum became the star he was in a lot of ways, because you didn't need someone else for him to be interesting. So he could
Yeah,
do stuff like Jurassic Park and those kind of things because he sees what he wants to see, whether it's there or not, you know. But
yeah,
but when you're dealing with that and you're looking at, like, because they'll give you a storyboard picture, and sometimes you show it to the actor, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's something regular they deal with all the time. We did tons of effects on Lab Rats. And so it became really normal. The kids are total pros at it. But how do you get across to a day playing actor, you know?
You know what helps?
Yeah.
What helps is storyboarding. I always try and it's in the art department's budget, and if I can find if there's a sequence, not so much to show what I want to see, but just like screen direction. Like everybody's got the bad guy's got to look left and run left. The good guy's got to look right, run right, or it looks like they're running in the same direction or
Right.
away
Yeah.
from shootouts, car chases, and that's nice to show everybody, particularly your camera crew, but also your day player actors. You're this guy in this frame. But even more importantly than that is a lot of shows, especially like something like Supernatural or even Criminal Minds, the stand-ins become hugely important because what I can do is I can have the stand. I'll go, hey Joe, hey
Mm.
Jason, run over and my day player actor will come over and watch the monitor with me, so I can say to them, see this what's going on here. Your look is and we'll put a big green X up on a C stand so you know exactly where to look.
Right.
That's when the hell demon comes out of the sky
Yeah.
or whatever. I mean, I always say the reason I think Supernatural works so well is that Jensen and Jared, aside from being just couldn't be lovelier human beings, is when they delivered this crazy dialogue, these crazy yellow-eyed demons and burning
Yeah.
salt in the put them in a lake of fire and a demon trap. They believed what they were saying
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. Their dialogue, it was not a joke.
Yeah.
It was the camera because a lot of that stuff, and look, we do that to effect. I mean, Shaun of the Dead is one of the greatest about winking at the camera and having
Totally.
piss out of the old zombie movie tropes. But
Well, Evil
they,
Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, there's a lot of those crossovers where it's believable, it's totally entrenched and yet beyond the comfort level of most actors.
yeah. Well, what was great is those guys believed what they were saying, and so it was
Yeah.
it's about reused, but it was contagious that the day player actors would come on and go, "Oh, so I can deliver this with all the intensity and
Yeah.
sincerity." That made it work, and the fans love that about it.
Right.
Um, I mean, stand-ins are a huge asset on the set because they can kind of literally stand in and fill in for what you need. Like when I did ER as a camera operator, our 1 through 6 stand-ins for the 1 through 6 actors
Yeah.
would show up for wardrobe every morning before work, getting scrubs, and one of them always had like the pink scrubs, one of them always had green scrubs, one always had a white lab coat, etc. But they were our ringers for all that crazy steady cam. I'd go back and down the hallways. I go, Rico coming out of the hallway here with a tray of urine samples would be great. Come really close to right up to the camera. If you hit me, you hit me.
Yeah.
Mario Andretti didn't know how fast he could go until he hit the wall a couple times. So
Right.
if we crash, we crash.
Yeah.
But if we don't crash, it's going to look awesome.
Yeah.
That treachery factor.
Right.
So those stand-ins were every bit as important as the actors that were delivering the lines because they were on camera too. And any big trauma scenes, hallway, Steadicam monster things we did, you'd see them come through. Sometimes they'd walk through with a tray, put the tray down, run up 2 doorways, and come back out the other way,
Sure.
close enough to the camera. Would never go, hey, that's the same guy that came through.
Yeah.
Um,
Brilliant.
yeah, I mean that helps a lot. Just I find that sometimes directing actors isn't so much being tough, and it's just guiding. I'm going to guide you in a direction into a performance.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
sometimes it's we had a director on Queer as Folk who was a favorite of a lot of the actors on our show, and he had a real distinct technique. It was the first time I noticed someone's technique coming. You know what I mean? Some people I'm like, because we got to know them a few times, so we did repeating things, and I was like, okay, now I get what he uses, his main toolbox, and his thing um was the what if slash emotion. So he would go, what if he's angry about that? What if instead of being angry about that, he's kind of happy about it secretly, but doesn't want to tell anybody?
yeah,
Like that kind of thing. Like, what if there's an underlying emotion here we haven't thought of. What does that look like? Go try, give me that, and we'll see how that fits in with what you're doing. And
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I say I'm more, and I'll say to any actor, I'm actually more interested in what's going on behind your eyes than I am what with dialogue you're saying.
yeah,
Watch Michael Beechwood, who's one of my favorite actors, another just gem of a human, would
right.
come up, we first thing, let's stand around and read the sides. No, don't worry about blocking. And he'd go, I don't need to say this line. I'm looking over at my partner. I don't need to say, you see
Yeah,
that? Look at him. And I know, guy, you're gonna get my shot. And you're gonna be over Anthony's shoulder, and so why do I say that? I go, all right, let's do one where you say it, and
because
do
they're
one where
gonna
you.
want it, right?
Yeah, that way we've fulfilled our contract to Warner Brothers and John Wells Productions.
Yep,
But if I edit, I'm not gonna put it in there because you're 100% right.
yep.
I just 10 episodes on HBO of The Outsider.
Hmm.
I wasn't super familiar with Ben Mendelsohn's work.
Okay.
If you, because I'm a huge Paul Newman, Jeff Bridges fan, like these
Yeah,
actors that so much is going on behind their eyes. If you're interested in acting at all, it's a clinic in some of the greatest screen acting I've seen. Ben Mendelsohn, and I love Jason Bateman too, because
yeah,
I'm again watching caught up on that, dying for season 3 to dive into that.
right,
But Ben Mendelsohn, there's so much going on behind the eyes. It's so much more important and exciting than what's going on out of
right.
his mouth.
I always have the. It's curious because as an actor, my eyes are so dark that like my pupils are still like my and my irises are so dark, especially on camera, that they look like giant periods as opposed to eyes on
Yeah, the
camera a lot of times. And unless it's in what I could do is I can do hang dog and puppy dog really easily because brown eyes look sad easier on
yeah.
camera. But blue eyes look like they're thinking even when they're not. So you'll see a lot of, they'll always go if you're casting a TV show, the dark-eyed person and the light-eyed person have an equal shot. But if you're casting a movie, the light-eyed person will always get, if it's, all things being equal, the light-eyed person will get it because on camera you can give more eye depth
Yeah,
there's just more detail in the eye. So
yeah.
there's more things for the audience to impose emotion onto. But comedically, your eyes get more dramatic. Oh, look at the puppy. See, big
She did,
hang dog. See what I mean?
yeah.
It's like dogs and eyebrows. Like it's that soulful part, you know.
She knows how to work them. This one,
Totally. Name
Luna.
Luna. Yeah, this is Luna,
Luna.
everybody. Luna. I just posted Chud sleeping on my chest because she was having it. So, like, she was not getting up. I was late getting the setup things. I'm going to blame myself for all the internet hangups just because I had cat on chest issues. So, so again, for anybody who's just joining us now, Guy Norman B is an amazing television director. Started as a cameraman. It goes way back. We met at the DGA because I was like, once I got in the DGA, man, I was like, I'm gonna be in on this because I want to do it. And of course, nobody wants to hire nobody needs a straight male actor who wants to be a director currently. Like, there's already a huge line at that door. So, but it's going to take me longer. I'm still doing it. It's not going to stop me. It's just going to take me longer. It's understandable. But we met at that party. We ended up sharing a lot politically, and then I have such respect for your work in general. Um, and it's so fun when I actually get to like see an episode where something comes up, and I was like, it's Guy, and I'll like tell my girlfriend we'll be watching a show and like going to sleep. I'm like, that's one of Guy's episodes. Like, it's just silly. But so what are you doing to? We'll finish up this way. What are you doing for your own personal sanity and sequester? What's your old boy regimen, or what
Well,
have you?
I just finished. Again, sort of the slowdown in work, which I get. I understand. Not working as much as I want to or used to,
Yep.
but it stops anybody from writing. And I've always been a writer. I don't consider myself a wordsmith, but I can describe to a writer what I want to see as a director.
Okay.
I dusted off my old original copy of Final Draft that I bought like 15 some years ago. It's so great because I wanted to get the upgrade,
Yeah.
and I typed in I typed in the serial number,
Yeah.
and it said you have to call this number. I called 1-800 whatever finaldraft.com or whatever, and I gave the guy who answered the phone the serial number. And he goes, "Whoa!" He goes, "You bought this at the writer's store in Westwood?" I go, "Yeah, I bought the CD-ROM in
Yeah.
like 99, 2000." He was like,
Right.
"You're a friend," and I go, "So I get it free, right?" He's like, "Well, I'll give it to you for $50." So
Oh, that was nice.
I saved $50 on the upgrade. But anyway, I dusted it off, and I just literally just finished my third. I like that Barry um, half-hour dramedy
Yeah.
format. So I've been writing like 30-page spec pilots. I just finished my third one. I actually shot one. I was telling you about that.
Yeah.
You know, um, pulled some money together with some producers and got Jim Beaver, Patrick Fabian, Lisa Vidal to come and just hang out and play with us. And we paid them whatever the basic minimum,
Yeah.
and all the Diet Coke you can drink off the craft service table.
Right.
Oil Loco for lunch, but they everybody had a blast. So I shot a thing on spec, and we're shopping that around. I got some good producers behind me that are helping.
Great.
Wrote another one, and then I just finished the third one.
Great. Well, if you need a joke punch up guy, I happen to know a very good wordsmith.
And I sent you my second one because I wrote something with you in mind, and
Yeah.
you and I have yet to talk about that.
Yeah, and then we both went separate ways for a while. Well, now we have time. So
Exactly. I'll talk-
I'm for it. Well, at that point, I felt like I didn't know you well enough to give major notes or even suggest like any rewrites. That was like a midpoint in our relationship. Now I feel like you trust me. So if I said something,
and the cool thing is the other lead, the manager of the one of the executive producers I'm working with is friends with other managers, and he sent it out to 3 different managers who manage heavyweight actors. Who everybody's kind of unless there's money attached, it's hard to
right?
read something. But they're evidently they're looking at it as a favor for him. And then anyway, so yeah, I'm just exercising that muscle.
Yeah,
And I want to be a writer. I've yet to join the WGA.
right.
Um, never
That
had
seems
anything.
Yeah, it's a weird process. The funny thing about the WGA is you can register all your stuff with them, and then if it sells, then you get in. It's almost like acting as a before you get a day player. Like the people who become extras. For a while. Like the Taft Hartley situation. Like you could buy your way in, which I did
Yeah,
when I was 16.
yeah. I registered them with. I was told to go through I was just looking at the copyright office.
Yeah,
This better way to go. This Magnificence is the one I think I sent you.
yeah, yeah.
Get that back in the mail, then you're copyrighted because the WGA one is like they just kind of take your money and
Right.
it's so I'm doing that.
That's great.
Get caught up on the Netflix stuff and all the things I've been interested in. And then I may buy a Lego Mustang on from Target.com to build because they're a lot of fun. I did one years ago with a
Right.
1,500 piece.
Dude, you have to set up a time lapse
Oh yeah,
camera on that just to go. If you have a GoPro sitting around,
that's
set
a
it
good
on
idea.
set it on time lapse and just tap it nearby. And who am I asking him if you have camera gear? But if you
Yeah,
yeah, just set it up, nearby in a nice little thing or whatever. Set time lapse on it every time you're working at it. It'd be glorious.
yeah,
You'll end up
yeah,
using it in a show at some point. I got this
exactly.
yeah.
And the other thing I'm taking Luna for these huge long walks up and down hills, and my watch is like very excited. I'm
Right.
a little behind right now, but at the end of the day, my watch is like, dude, what got up your ass?
Right.
So I'm getting exercise. I have a water rower. Where is it down here somewhere? My water rower, but I have for some reason I developed this horrible. I built a shed in September, October, November, so I have this horrible tendonitis in this tennis elbow,
Right.
and it flares it up the way the rowing is set up. Every time
Yeah.
I pull back,
Right.
and so like hours after I finish, so maybe I can do it with one hand. I don't know.
Try
Um,
underarm gripping like this
That's not a bad idea.
and pull your elbows back to your towards your hips. So
Yeah,
you're just and that will extend them in a way that actually helps the elbow because
yeah,
this will is a weird motion anyways. You know those dudes, like those weightlifting dudes who do the lift where they lift up the bar and pull it up to there? It always
Yeah.
screws up your shoulder to do it that way. Like there are 9 other exercises people should be doing, and they always end up going, "I don't know, I threw my shoulder out doing something." Like, no, you didn't. You threw your shoulder out doing that stupid shit 100 times. So,
I
give the underarm a try.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, I have some weird deltoid thing that I went to a movement specialist a while ago, and she said there's something really stiff in there. And I realized all those years of going like this,
right.
everything on
Yeah.
that right, also steady cam is everything on that right side.
Oh, yeah.
So everything's been on this crunching on this right corner. I mean, I haven't really technically been a camera operator in about 20 years because I've been directing 20 years.
Yeah.
Still, I talked to a chiropractor and they said every time you see that slate go up in frame, you tense up in that same way you did as an
Oh,
operator. You
yeah, it's
really
true.
you're living the shot for the
Absolutely.
length of the take.
Especially because it was
So
so
there's something.
crucial early on. You probably developed better technique later on for carrying it as you got better, but in the beginning when you were your most lopsided was also when you got your most tension because you wanted to do it right. And as a young cameraman, I see that all the time. I mean, I've said this, but there are streets um, in Toronto. There are corners I can't stand on because my emotional system goes to shit and I feel terrible because of all the emotional buildup I did doing 35 takes over dozens of shows on that same corner.
Right, right. Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that.
Um,
Uh,
well, we will do this again, but either on screen or off. Just checking in soon. I'm gonna sign off and go to the Trump madness in a minute, and bring the hammer down on this nonsense.
Good. Yeah.
And I just wanted everybody follow Guy Norman B on Twitter. Check out his IMDb, and you will see there's a bunch of shows that you like. I guarantee it. If there's at least 3 episodes, you're like, oh shit, I love that show. Yeah, yeah. Well, he's part of the reason why you love it. So,
Cool.
anyways, I will sign off. Folks on all the interwebs, I will see you guys in just a minute as I gear up and do normal daily briefing, the debriefing, the boxer briefing, and and yes, ridiculousness, and perhaps I will start having co-hosts for that going along at some point. At some point, maybe you could join me on that because I have a feeling you and I will have similar reactions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All
So,
right, brother.
all right, thanks so much. I'm going to sign off first. See you guys in